Hello, my lovely peeps. Welcome to another episode of Lollypop Speed Art featuring the 6 wives of Henry VIII, Jane Seymour, and Anne of Cleves. So in this first part, I'm doing Jane Seymour, the remake of her, and I will show you a picture in a bit, and here you go. See, that's the one I did in 2016, and compared to the one I'm doing right now here, which I did in March and April. So what I did was I covered more of her hair and made her headdress a little bit more accurate to how it looks in history. So enough about the remake. It's not really any different, but it's a little bit more accurate. But anyways, a little facts about Jane Seymour. We all know she is the third wife of Henry VIII, and she was the queen that gave birth to Edward VI, and we all know she actually died a couple weeks after she gave birth because of poor hygiene, horrible fever. You know, back then medical technology wasn't the greatest. It wasn't as advanced as it is now. So anyways, for a bit of facts about Jane Seymour is that she is the daughter of a knight, but she would still be considered a commoner. She was actually the maid of honor to Catherine of Aragon, and then lady-in-waiting to Anne Boleyn. And rumor has it that Jane may have had a part in the downfall of Anne Boleyn in 1536 when Henry VIII fell in love with the pious, calm, obedient Jane. And speaking of that, her motto was bound to obey and serve. She chose obedience over actually being rebellious. She was a devout Catholic, and one of her closest friends was Mary Tudor, who would eventually become Bloody Mary. But from one of the documentaries I watched, she may appear to be this meek and innocent, obedient young woman, but she was very she did have a bit of a tough side too. She wasn't weak. She appeared weak, but she was strong. In one documentary, she did have a collaborative effort with a Catholic supporter named Nicholas Carew. If you watch the David Starkey documentary, you probably will understand. So she almost became the first Catholic queen for people in northern England, but what happened was Henry VIII was like, I only meant to do that we're just gonna use your love for the queen just so you can calm your shiz down. But really, Henry VIII killed them. Well, not killed them, I mean he executed the rebels. So anyways, after Jane's death, her older brothers had a hand in Edward VI's government when he took the throne in 1547. And we all know Thomas Seymour was the Lord Protector of Elizabeth I and the fourth husband to Catherine Parr. And he got executed, so did Edward Seymour. And they were both the king's uncles, for crying out loud. And freaking Thomas Seymour was sexually abusing Queen Elizabeth, the future Queen Elizabeth I. I'm sorry, I know that was a little bit too much for you guys. As we all know, my channel is still family friendly. I did not mean to mention anything inappropriate. It's just for the purpose of explaining the history. Another known fact is that Jane Seymour is actually related to Jane Seymour herself may have actually been related to Henry VIII in some way through Edward III and John of Gaunt, through John of Gaunt or whatever. So here's the finished piece of Jane Seymour, the redo of it. And now we come to Anne of Cleves. And the funny thing about the making of this video, I couldn't get, like, I actually did record me doing like the base spot, the general idea, and like the general base and the rough draft for Jane Seymour, but during the saving of that, it messed up, and when I brought it into Power Director, it had like a pink screen. So that's why you don't see like the line art for Jane Seymour and the process of how I got to that point. So here I am doing the remake of Anne of Cleves, and you can see the difference with this remake to the first one I did back in 2016. And of course there is a speed painting series that I did back in 2016, that same year. Here's the line art, but I only did like the coloring and all that stuff. Like this time I'm doing it like more detailic. Her dress is a bit different from the one I did back in 2016. This is based on one of her portraits that actually hangs in the Louvre in Paris. So, and of course you'll be able to see the first one I did. I did not do this, like draw out the stripes in the line art, and of course there's that long pause. I made sure to do it all nice and perky, like I make it like somewhat realistic, but still have my style in here. And now we get to the coloring. Yes, and I also based it on some of like her contemporary looks, but when I did Anne of Cleves the first time in 2016 doing this series, I made her have brown eyes and brown hair. But by looking at contemporary like things on Wikipedia, yeah, I know that she has hazel eyes and blonde hair. So here's the original I did, and I did it with her wedding dress that was the poofy dress that was black and white. So the one I'm doing here is based on her one portrait that we see, which is like red. Her dress is red and gold, as you can see right now. But facts about Anne of Cleves is that she was the daughter of the Duke, the sister of the Duke of Cleves, and she and her sister were potential wife candidates for Henry VIII after Jane Seymour passed away. And we all know between that period, Henry was in deep mourning, and he regarded Jane Seymour as his true wife. She bore him a son and all that stuff. And another known fact is that, yeah, we all know Anne of Cleves got divorced from Henry VIII. Well, Henry VIII did annul his marriage to Anne of Cleves because he found her unattractive. He couldn't consummate the marriage, all that shiz. But Anne of Cleves was really the true survivor of the six wives. She outlived Catherine Parr. She lived to, guess what? She lived to Mary the First's reign, and was suspected of being part of the rebellion against her. And we know that she converted to Catholicism at the end of her life, but she like showed that she can be an independent single royal, but we all know she did become the king's sister. Yeah, that it was either like it was a publicity stunt to get her to agree to the divorce, but she got security. Like, she got the estates, she got all this proposition in court and all that stuff, and here we go. Here's the final one that I did, and here's the two remakes side by side. I hope you enjoyed. Peace.